So this is the last result. Now the next thing, we're going to delete this sun actually, and let's see how it looks in the render view. So this is how it looks without the sun. Actually the world is pretty light. And now I am going to fake some background sky and maybe some mountains, right? Let's bring in an image. Actually, you can just do something like this in Blender, Shift A, image and background, or you can do something like this. Let's enable one add-on in Blender. It means it's called import image as planes. Yeah, this one. And you can import images as planes. I downloaded some images on my computer, on my desktop, and let's download this. And GYS, let's make it bigger. Now let's change this mountain to not principled, but let's come here, shading, not principled, but, and for now we can just disable Blender Kit because it's working in the background. Let's change this to emission, which is which gives off light. We don't need this. And maybe 2, or okay, let's say it's 1. Now we can just move it up, but actually the light in our scene and the sky, the light in the sky do not match, because the light is coming from here in this image. As you can see, there is a sky, but in our scene there is no sun. There is a sun here, right? But in our scene there is no sun, so we should use something like a sun. Actually, we have a really good sky atmosphere, sky texture called Nishita Sky texture and Nishita. It's a great texture actually. Where is our sun now? It's there. Actually, it's there. Now we can do something. We can select this image and come here to visibility, and let's remove shadow because we don't need a shadow. Let's turn it a little. This is sun rotation. Let's match the sunlight. I think it is something like this, right? And let's maybe sun elevation down to 4. And what else? We can bring back the intensity to 0.2 maybe, and rotation a bit, something like this, right? And I think we should change the elevation again. So after changing a few settings here, you can see what I've changed here. And I also changed some things in the render properties. And now we can test render, but before that I think we should just have the final look. I think I have changed a few settings here too. Number of just my computer crashed, so I lost some of the things that I recorded actually, and you can I will save this file for you. You can check a few things. I think I changed some settings in the particle settings, and also here in world settings and render settings. I think this is what we got just now. I think the strength is a bit too much. 0.4 for the strength. I think this is a bit better. Now we can, actually I disabled the particles from view, but you can see it's enabled in render. If you disable in render, it doesn't render. Now we enabled it in render. Also, one more thing, the scene got a bit heavier because of these some of these models, 3D models, some of these assets that we got from BlenderKit. Let's see what we have. System statistics. You can see we've got 2 million polygons here in the scene. All of these are because of these trees that we have downloaded from the internet. And also we have got these trees and this grass. So now let's test render it and see what we have. So this is our render result. Some quick notes about rendering. If Blender crashed or froze when you wanted to render, there are a few things you can do. Firstly, if you have a GPU, change it from here, and I think I showed you from preferences, system, change to one of these graphics card options. And next thing, you can decrease the number of samples. Mine is 512. You can go as low as 128, and also you can change in light paths. You can choose maybe limited global illumination, or it was default, or you can also come here and change this resolution or bring down this percentage, maybe 60%, and a few other things that you can do. Or if Blender crashed, you must pay attention to the amount of particle numbers. You can decrease the number of particles here, or just decrease the number of child particles from here, maybe 40, not 100. Actually, it's render amount. When you press F12 to render 160, this is what the computer tries to render. Or even better, close or delete one of these trees if your computer cannot handle rendering. Now, after you have rendered, you can save your render by coming here, image, and save as, and show to your family and friends, and as you can tell them that this is your first project. Okay, or you can bring it to Photoshop and change a few things, put something if you know how to use Photoshop. Or there is one more thing that you would want to do in Blender. Actually, there is Photoshop inside of Blender. You can come here to compositing and enable use nodes, and if there is nothing here when you enable, you can click Shift A and output, maybe viewer, and Shift A again, input, render layers, and image to image. I actually denoised, right? Yeah, denoised when I render. And you can see your render here, and there are a bunch of operations that you can do to change a few things here and there. And also, while you are rendering, you can turn on and off one of these options, passes, to be able to use them inside of Compositor. This is Blender's Compositor. It's like doing some operations after you have rendered something, so that you can give some final touch to your render or change a few things after you have rendered your image or animation. So this is a place I'd like to show you only one or two things here. You can press V to zoom out of your image, or you can just press N to bring this menu and view. Here you have zoom in and out, or you can move it, or you can fit it to this available space or reset. You can also do this with shortcuts: Alt V to zoom in, V to zoom out, Alt plus Home to fit it, Alt plus middle mouse button and drag to move it around. So, or without Alt, you can just zoom in and out of these nodes. I'd like to show you one thing. Filter, you can add some glow effect with glare. You can see immediately there is some glowing effect. You can change a few things. I'm not going to show any of these now. And you can also use some color options. You can use a color like hue saturation value. Maybe here you can add some saturation. You can change saturation a little, or even brightness contrast. You can brighten it a bit and change contrast, or you can do it after you have added glare. You can see how things have changed. It's more interesting. Yeah, it's too much color here, and the sky looks a bit too unrealistic. It looks cartoony, but this is how you can change a few stuff and make your renders even more interesting. There are tons of options. We will look some of them, most important of them, in the dedicated part chapter, which is dedicated to compositing. I think it's one of the final chapters of this course. So this is it. Now you can just come here to rendering. This is not what we have changed. You can one of the options is that you can come here and write viewer node. This is what we changed. You can come here to image and save as, save wherever you want, and show it to your friends and family. And you can continue with the next chapters.